Okay, good morning. So, for Thursday, I would like for you to tell us about your data set, your chosen data set, the domain. What's the data pertain to, the if it's the business or a sports team or whatever the case may be. Tell us about the world that the data came from, just in case folks aren't familiar, and to practice presenting. um, and then show us the data itself, what form it came in, where you got it from, whatnot, and then um, using the last couple weeks of Excel training, kind of comb through the data. You do some exploratory data analysis and look up some things that you find interesting. Uh, you are your own boss in this assignment as far as any sort of research questions or tips or techniques that you might choose to employ. So I'm going to show you this Survivor data set, talk a little bit about the television show Survivor, which is not completely without controversy, but few things that have been around 20 years are. Beg your pardon. Okay, so uh, this data set came from out on the internet. It's on a few different places, GitHub, code repository. Um, but if you just Google Survivor data set, you'll find it out there. And I posted it on the classroom. But when you it has been implemented as a library in R, um, as well as um, this spreadsheet. So anyway, Survivor. The show came out back as a summer fill-in in the summer of 2000, and I missed the first season because I was moving with my family to Japan in the military. And when we got over there, they didn't have all they had was Armed Forces Network for English speaking television. And it wasn't, they didn't carry Survivor. And then it became this, giant overnight sensation. So they carried it for the rest of the time. And then, yeah, so we're on season 41 now of Survivor. Generally speaking, they film two seasons a year, like a fall and a spring. So if you never watched it, totally understand what it is. They gather anywhere from uh, like 18 to 20 contestants. These are folks pulled from the population. You have to audition and send in a tape and everything. And they hand select the cast to get a mix of personalities and ages and demographics and whatnot. Um, and then they plunk them down on a beach somewhere, or they've been in Australia. They film around the world. Been in Australia, Africa a couple of times, Brazil a couple of times. Been around the world, and but they basically plunk these folks down and divide them into groups, tribes. Sometimes the contestants self-select. Usually, the producers pick what tribe you're going to be in, and then they play games basically to see who every week one tribe or more will go to what is called tribal council, and someone will be voted off by their peers. So it's basically a popularity contest with obstacle courses thrown in, survival of the fittest. And as the game gets towards the end, the last 10 to 12 people, depending on the season, who get voted off will become a jury. And the jury members, when it gets down to the final two or three people, the jury members select who the winner is. So that's the key to the game, is getting people to still vote for you to win the $1 million prize when you've had a hand in voting them out. So that you can get all the way to the end and play a supreme game, but if you angered people on the jury, you don't win. They'll give it to somebody who was weak and just kind of ghosted under the radar sometimes, rather than giving it to a strong player that took control of the game and made a lot of strategic moves. So that's the domain. That's the game survivor. 41 seasons, 20 years going now. That's some kind of record. But the data that I got, like I said, it's in an R package, so you can import it and work with it in the R programming language without ever goofing around with Excel or a database or anything like that. But I'm a Python guy, aspiring Python programmer, not an R programmer. So I downloaded it in Excel, and hey, just so happens we're doing an Excel capstone. Um, so anyway, the data came in tabs in an Excel spreadsheet, and there's primarily two pieces of data that I'm working with. If you wanted to go more in depth, there's more data than I was able to even mess with, and you guys don't need to go as extensively as I did. Like I said, I'm kind of a fanboy here of the show, and messing with the data was fun for me because I don't work with Excel very much, so it was challenging. And I'm a big fan of the show, so all that was cool. You guys don't worry about, if you don't get as far as I got today, because yeah, I want you guys to use after you tell me, after I hush and you tell me what data you're using. We're gonna adjourn off of Zoom and let you guys get to work, and then we'll come back. And I would like for you guys to do this on Thursday morning. So anyway, yeah, back to the data. Um, the main two tabs, or two data structures that I worked with, are a season summary, and as you see, it's sorted here by. I'm not sharing my screen, am I? I got to share my screen. I started talking about stuff, and nobody said, "Hey, Walker, share the whole screen." Okay. All right. Everybody seeing Excel?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you, Ham.
Yep.
Okay. So I have added a few tabs here. The version that, if you want to goof around with this one, the version on the classroom is pristine. Okay, so here is your season summary data. That's got the banner name of the season, and the unique identifier is this column B. There's season 1 through 40. And then you've got the filming location, all, like I said, all around the world, in the Americas, Africa, Asia. They've come up with some kind of a persistent relationship with Fiji, though. The last, what, 7, 8 episodes have all been in Fiji, and it is gorgeous. But got to be something going on there, because they used to spread the love around and go to different countries, which they haven't. And then, like I said, is the producers or the players divide into tribes, and they've tried a bunch of different ways: 2 tribes, 3 tribes, 4 tribes. Broken down, it was men versus women. It's been old versus young. It's been ethnic groups. So it's quite the social experiment. And then we have the name of the winner of that season, and then some time slot data and ratings and whatnot, and who won. The winner. This column G is the survivor ID of the castaway that won that season. There have been a couple of 2-time winners. This guy Tony, he won twice here. What, season 40 and what, season 28, and then the queen, Sandra Diaz Twine, has also won twice. So some of this repeats. Um, but that's the structure of the season data. Relatively, what a database person would consider to be a normalized table, um, but not totally, because you've got repeating data in here. And as when we get to relational data and SQL, you'll see that this you're not supposed to do things this way in a relational database, but in a spreadsheet that's fun. But you got two pieces of information here in this runner-ups column, which so I spent a lot of time, way more than you got today, um, cleaning this data or to do what I wanted to do, what little I was able to do. But that's one of the main tables, and then another table that I have not messed with is this worksheet called Castaways, and it has a lot of repeating data in it. Let's go all the way to the top here. So you can see the column headers. So it's right now it's sorted by castaway, because I was messing with it. But what happened was starting with about season 7 or 8, they started doing returning players. So you started seeing the same castaway ID more than one time. In fact, one of the big players, Boston Rob, you might have heard of him. He's been on there, I think, 5 times now. So you started to get repeating data in the castaways table, which goofs things up. So I created a castaways table, because this one has a row for every season and every castaway. So you'll have a row in here for every season you were on if you're one of the repeat players. But then I want to say they had a repeat row for if they got voted out, and there's this thing they call Redemption Island, where you can come back into the game. One player gets to come back from Redemption Island and get back in the game. They even had another row for that. So this data was just tough to work with. So I spent quite a bit of time just goofing around with the data to do some fairly simple analysis. Okay, so that is basically the data. Now I'll show you what just some stuff I was able to play around with as an example of stuff you could do for the course. I wanted to work with different data types, and I wanted to do a few different kinds of charts, and I wanted to make sure I did a pivot table, and I wanted to use VLOOKUP because I still don't really get it. I still need to practice with it, but it does work. It's pretty cool. So let me just go through what the tabs, the worksheets that I created, and the kind of um, the things, the data research questions. So okay, like I said, 40 seasons. It's been filmed all over the world. So I went to the season summary table. Let's see here. Let's make this a little bit smaller. Get that out, get the chart out of the way for a minute. Beg your pardon. I went to the season summary table, and when I'm working in Excel, it always seems to work better for me the less data I have. So I just clean stuff and put just what I'm looking for, just what I want to work with, into a worksheet, so that I can then do some analysis with it. So from the season summary worksheet, I grabbed the season ID and the country it was filmed in. That's what you're seeing in column A and B. And then I selected all of that, and I said insert table. It's a grade here because I created a table out of column A and B, because it seems to work better. And then I created I did insert pivot table, and I have a column here for um, country, and then this is count of season, not sum of season. That'll mess you up. But remember that that value field setting. So this is the number of seasons in these different countries. And you can see here, yeah, Fiji, nine individual seasons have been filmed in Fiji. So then I wanted to create a map chart type, which we have not really messed with. But they're pretty cool if you're working with geographical data. So you can't do a pivot chart graph table. I tried to do just click in the pivot table and say insert pivot chart. Let's see if it'll make a liar out of me. Let's make a map. Bam. You can't create this chart type with data inside a pivot table. Please select a different chart type or copy the data outside the pivot table. And I said, thank you very much, Mr. Excel help, and did just that. So I just went in here and grabbed the meat of the data and plugged it into yet another table. It's the same data. It's just not a pivot table. It's a regular table. And then I said, insert chart. Let me pick it. And I picked a map chart. Now, I mucked around with this for quite a while, and I was unable to get it the way I really, really wanted it, as far as the data labels. Because the way this chart works is if there's not room in the country for even like the numeral, you don't get a data label. So for instance, if I hover over Cambodia, they filmed 2 seasons there, but I can't get I can't get the data labels to work. So it gets a little bit frustrating. But over here, this little tiny blurb, that's Fiji. And it's the darker the color in the map, it's called a shaded map. The darker the color, the more episodes that they've filmed there. So you can see, China and Australia are kind of light, and there's they filmed 1 season there. Nicaragua, they have filmed 6 seasons there, so it's darker. And then of course we have Fiji. You can't really see it, but they filmed 1 season in Kenya and 1 in Gabon. And if you hover your mouse over there, it shows up. So that's your worldwide filming locations. It used to be worldwide. Now it's Fiji, Survivor Fiji, every week. Cool. How am I doing, guys? Any questions so far?
Not so far.
Doing all right? Okay. Now, like I said, I'm going to take, half an hour doing this. You guys, if you get, in and out and done in, 5 or 10 minutes, that's fantastic. You know how much I love to talk. So yeah, that was worldwide filming locations using a pivot table and a map. And I wanted to show another map type. Same. Where'd they go? Where'd it go? I thought I did. I had a little bit of troubles. Nope, there it is. Yeah, I got it. Saving versions. Okay, so here's US data. I went and I grabbed this is all castaways. So I could probably change this chart title to all castaways. All 590 people have played Survivor in 40 seasons. All castaways by home state. And there wasn't a whole lot of information about the castaways. I wasn't able to get, education levels not on there. A bunch of stuff's not on there. But anyway, same drill. I went into the actually I created a worksheet of the castaways by castaway ID. So I got rid of what season they were playing in and all that. And it's just about the castaway themselves, their name, age and where they're from and their personality type, which I thought was interesting. Two of them are blank, but they had a Myers-Briggs personality type for each, which I thought was an interesting piece of information. So from castaways, I created castaway no duplicates, and then I created castaway home state. So this repeats. There's 590 in home states in column A and B here, so that I then inserted a pivot table and put the state over here into a pivot table. And then since you can't create a map from a pivot table, I cut and pasted that into a traditional table and then created my my geography map. And you notice here, it automatically by default, the map chart type, the map chart type in Excel defaults to only showing where there is data. Let's see if I can prove that assertion. What is going on? Okay. Trying to make it a screen's worth. And you can get that by clicking on the chart and go to chart design. I want to say if you click on the chart area, format plot area, format data series. Yeah, map area. When you say it, it automatically constrains the map to geographic locations that you have. But you can tell it the whole world. And let me see what if I do that. Bam, you get the whole world, but it's pointless because we're only got United States there. So it's pretty good. The automatic is pretty smart, and it will do counties. If you have county data, if it can figure it out, it has trouble with like just the county name because there are so many like Jefferson counties, for example, that you need to have the county and the state. But this map data type, if you've got some sort of geographic information, account of what people are doing or thinking or whatever by county or by population, it's pretty healthy, pretty helpful in healthcare. I know other apprentices have used it for that. So yeah, this is incredibly. Just looking at this, there's 590 states. So just looking at it, I didn't have any preconceived idea of where these people would be from. I assumed they would be relatively evenly distributed by population, but I think 163 people. Let me get the pivot table viewable again. 163 out of 590 from California, I think is a little bit overrepresented, but anyway, there you go. So the darker the color, the more castaways there are from that state. And there's a couple that there's only been like one castaway from, but I think they're all represented. Like only one from Montana, one from Vermont. But look, 163 Californians. I don't know if that's easy. Makes it easy for them to to hop down to CBS Studio and audition, or what happened there. So anyway, that's your distribution of a categorical variable that just happens to be a geographic variable. You could using this same data, you could do a bar chart. There's a lot of states, so a bar chart is going to be tough to, or a pie chart would be tough to use, but you can do it. Oh, yeah. So that's a Castaway home state, and we did filming locations, right? Isn't that what I just did? Yeah, and Castaway home state, and let's see what else I came up with. Um, yeah, I wanted to do a little bit of work with Castaway age. Um, so I did. I went to my Castaways no dupes, and I pulled out just their name, their ID, and their age. And as you see down here, down, 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 down. Uh-oh. Oh, lost my sneeze. I hate that. Down to 591. So yeah, plus the header, 590 castaways, and the age that they were when they played their first season, because I don't have date of birth, which is really annoying for a data person to have it's called derived data. Age is derived from a date of birth and a time and a date, a subsequent date. I don't have this data set did not include their date of birth, so you can't derive their age without going back, and it's a lot of trouble. And then when there were multiple, like there's multiple lines for Boston Rob, and he was different ages those 5 seasons he played. Well, the way I sorted the data and cleaned it, what I'm getting is their age the first time they played the game. So it's an academic exercise. So anyway, this is what you got. Their ages are an integer, so it's not really continuous data. It's really kind of categorical almost, but close enough to continuous to treat it like continuous data. So yeah, cleaned my data, got it in here, and then I wanted to look at distributions of that data, the way it was distributed. So your two main graphical tools for that are a histogram and a box plot. So I drew both of those, and I went down here and right clicked on the legend, and I changed the bin. It automatically created this histogram with fewer bins, and they were from like 18 to 21.3 years old, and I just didn't like it. So I forced a bin width, since I know that these are years of age. It made more sense for me for that to be an integer number. So these bins in this histogram are age brackets of 3 years: 18 to 21, 21 to 24, and so on. And you can see that the data is skewed somewhat towards younger folks in their late 20s, give or take, would be the typical castaway. Um, so there's the histogram that kind of shows you the distribution of the data, and how it is skewed, and there are some outliers out here. There's 2 people have played this between the age of 69 and 72. Bless their hearts, because I'm 57, and uh, I can't imagine. But they had one winner at 57. We'll get to that in a minute. So anyway, there's the distribution by age of all castaways, all 590, and then the box and whisker is another way to look at it. And remember, this line here is the line, the horizontal line in the blue box is the median. So your median age is 29. And then you've got these outliers out here. These are a 71-year-old, 67-year-old. These are so far outlying that they get their own special dot outside the box and whisker. And you can kind of see uh, even though it's oriented top to bottom, you can kind of see by looking at the histogram and the box plot, um, that they reflect the same, that long right tail of decreasing numbers of people, and then the really tightly clustered data around your late 20s. So we got age going up here from 0 to 80 years old on the left-hand axis, and your min, your max, your median, and then your 25th and 50th quartiles are here with the box plot. So it shows you the shape of the data as well. And then I thought, that is really weird. I wonder what the data is skewed towards folks in their late 20s. So I wonder really what the numbers are. What's the score of that? So clicking in this in the age column, I went to the data tab and used the data analysis tool pack, and I ran descriptive statistics. And that's this little table here, stuck this in here for me. So you can see all the pertinent data. There were more 27-year-olds than any other age. Again, median age is 29, even though the mean is 32. That shows you the skewed with these lots of older folks sprinkled in, but no younger folks, because of course you can't go less than 18. So you would kind of expect that, I would think. But the range, min 18, oldest is 72. Woo! And the count, of course, 590 individual castaways you got there, right there. Okay, so that was castaway age. And then I wanted to do a thing about personality types, because that's really all I had on the individual castaways as far as attributes of the castaway. They didn't include gender. They didn't include ethnicity. Didn't include education level, income level. They probably collect that, but this data set didn't have it. So in my exploration, my exploratory data analysis, those were really the only two things I could explore. So personality types, almost done here. I'm going to hush here in 10 minutes to let you get to work. So I went into Castaways, no duplicates, and I pulled out all of their Myers-Briggs personality type. If you haven't heard of this one, it's a good Google. If you've never taken the test, it's interesting. But there's basically 4 factors that you fall on one or the other. So you get 4 factors, and there's a binary choice between 2 things within those 4 factors. So you're either an extrovert or an introvert. You either use sensing or intuition, and you'd have to take the test. It's worth doing if you've never done it. People that think or people that feel is the third factor, and then judging versus perceiving. So I want to say I'm an INTJ from 100 years ago. I don't know if your personality, they say your personality doesn't really change, but anyway, that's what Myers-Briggs is. It's a 4-letter designation. There's 4 factors. Each one has 2 choices, 2 to the 4th. So there's 16 permutations of the Myers-Briggs personality type. And there's all kinds of studies have been done to see if is it really accurate, anyway, enough about that. So they included it, so I thought, what the heck. So I went and grabbed it, and again, cleaning data, put it in again, its own tab, its own worksheet. So I've got the personality type of each individual castaway here. And then I created, since it's repeat, I stuck in a pivot table. And this pivot table, where is somebody, if somebody can remember, when you click on the, no, when you click on the pivot table, normally the pivot table fields task pane comes up, and I have clicked X on it and it goes away. But there's an easy way to bring it back, but I can't remember what it is. Does anybody remember how to get that task pane to come up where you format the pivot table? I'm looking here on the screen. Pivot table options. No, that's not it. Format pivot table. Format cells. No, that's not it. Anybody remember? Anybody going to come to my rescue?
What are you looking for again?
The task pane to format the pivot table. When you first say insert pivot table, show field list. There it is. If you right click in the pivot table, bam, there it is. If you hit X, it goes away and it doesn't come back automatically anymore. And it upsets you if you're me. So yeah, this pivot table fields task pane is what that's called. And if you hit the X, it doesn't come up automatically every time you click in the pivot table anymore, which caused me a moment of confusion. So I got a row for each personality type. So I got personality type down here in the rows. And then I have two values fields, the count of castaways that have that personality type, and then the viewing it as a percentage of the total. So my question was, when I looked at the personality types of each castaway and the distribution. So 63 of the 590 were ENFP personality types, extroverts, and then the four factors. I can't remember, and my perceiving, feeling. Anyway, that's your largest percentage. So I wanted to know, to give it some meaning and some context. I wanted to know what the overall world population of Myers-Briggs personality types is. So I went out and got that. Move this slicer at myersbriggs.com, MTBI basics, and I found this column here. This is not part of the pivot table. This is cut and pasted within the general population. So you would wonder, you would think that the survivor producers would want to have personality types that match the population, but maybe not. Maybe the general population isn't as interesting as certain personality types. Maybe, I don't know. So, but I wanted to look at that, and you will see that there are some personality types that are well overrepresented, and some that are underrepresented. Like ESFJ is only 4.5% of the total population of castaways, but it's 12.3 out here in the general population. So they underrepresented them. And then you've got some that are, I want to say doubly represented within the castaways, within the castes, compared to, here's one, INFJ, is double what it is over here in the general population. So anyway, like I said, I'm I'm a fan, so playing around with this stuff was kind of fun for me. Nope, don't need that. So created a bar chart of all 16, kind of messy. Created a pie chart. There's too many slices. This is a good example of when you wouldn't use a pie chart because there are too many slices. But I thought I changed this chart type to chart type. Chart type, change chart type. I changed it to a bar of pie, and it was kind of cool. It grabbed um, automagically the introverts, I want to say. It grabbed introverts, which this bar of pie chart I don't have a whole lot of experience with. But it automatically grabs and groups your data, and then breaks that out in a bar to the side, which is I think pretty interesting. Um, anyway, so that's it. Yeah, pivot chart of that. So, oh yeah, I wanted to see one last thing. Almost break time and lab time. Um, I wanted to see the winner's age and how it might vary from castaway age. So, looking at the winners, the median in mode I think is slightly older than um, the general population. The mean is 30, median is 29. But if we go over to the general population, um, the mode's 27. Yeah, so slightly, but pretty close. Mean age 32 for all castaways. Um, and the winner age mean is 30. So slightly younger than the overall population. But the overall population has all of those older people kind of skewing the data somewhat. So I guess you might expect that. But I needed Mary Kate to help me out. This VLOOKUP just kind of stymies me. I need to mess with it more. But what I did was I have the winners in the season summary table. Remember, you got the winner ID so there's 40 rows in the season summary table, and then you've got 590 castaway ages. Well, I didn't want to manually go look up Richard Hatch's age and Tina Wesson's age, so I used the VLOOKUP. I pasted the castaway ID and age so it would be in the same worksheet and easy to work with. So this column G and H is that lookup table where I can use the winner ID here to go find the age over in column H. And that's the VLOOKUP table. So I clicked on equals VLOOKUP, and then I clicked on the first winner, and then I clicked on the column that I wanted to pull it from, or columns I wanted to pull it from, and I'm pulling the age. I'm returning the age. So that's your number 2 right there is the second column over. So like I said, and then false, I wanted it to be an exact match. So um, uh, that final parameter is 4. So that was some good practice for me. And that is what this thing is all about, is practice. Any questions on what I did? Are we still connected?
Yep.
Everybody out there?
Yep.
Okay. No questions on what I did.
I don't think so.
The techniques I used. Okay, so like I said, this was more. I spent more time on this than you guys have today. So if you only get just a couple of things done, a couple of charts or one type of data, but use this time to mess with data, and using Excel, using the stuff in this that we've had in the workshop and everything to get your hands on practice, because I think we're tilted towards too much talking, not enough doing, and I'm going to balance those scales this week in both Excel and Python and give you guys a lot of time to muck about with these tools. So it's coming up on break time. Does anybody? I was going to ask you what data you're working with, but I won't belabor the point. Is anybody need help finding a data set.
Hey, Don, I just have a quick question,
Sure,
really,
Dave.
overall. So I just want to clarify the objective of this exercise. I think I went into this in the beginning from the wrong approach. We're really just practicing going out and getting data, gathering data from different sources, just to learn how to use these tools, right? We're not necessarily answering any type of question or looking at trends or anything. This is strictly an exercise in gathering the data from and seeing what's out there. Is that really what, and using the tools that we've done? That we've gone over?
No, I don't think it's just about gathering the data and cleaning it, because I started asking exploratory questions of this data, not knowing what was in the data and never having seen the data before. So I started going, oh, so we've got all the survivors by age. Well, I wonder what the average age was. So I started asking analytical questions and using both the graphics and the uh, statistical tools to answer some just exploratory questions. And that's where you guys decide what you think would be fun to to analyze. Could be
Yeah, right. I mean, you would have to have some idea of what, because you already said that, hey, find something that you're interested in and would be fun with. So yeah, I mean, I misspoke.
okay.
You have to have some idea of what you might want to find out. But really, the biggest part of this is going out here and practicing, getting the data and cleaning it, putting it in this format, or using the tools that we've gone through in class.
Correct.
Basically, is it correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's the takeaway is comfort with Excel and what you've learned. Like I had prior to this class, I had not I don't know that I'd even heard of a slicer, so that was interesting. Um, there were a few different techniques and whatnot. I got more comfortable with pivot tables throughout the course, or in preparing for it and during it. So yeah, that's the main point is just being more comfortable with Excel when you're done than you were beforehand, unless you're you're a daily user, in which case I hope you just have some fun messing around with some data that you think is interesting.
Okay, thanks.
Sure thing. Okay, so let me. If you don't have my cell phone, shoot me an email. And if you need help with this or anything else, give me a call. But what I want to do Thursday morning is everybody, and like I said, I went way longer than necessary for you guys. But perform an exercise kind of like I did. Share your screen. Tell us about the data that you chose, and then what mechanics, machinations you had to go through to get the data where you wanted it. Try and use the foundational elements that we've learned, namely pivot tables um, and charts that are appropriate for that type of data, answering whatever question, whatever cool thing it is you pick. But try and use a couple of different, and then like I did categorical data with the personality type and somewhat more continuous data with age. So if you can do a couple of different types of data, that would be interesting as well. But there's no uh, grade on this, guys. It's whatever you work, whatever helps you clarify what you learned in the workshop. If there was something that Mary Kate taught or that I've covered that you want to go back and practice, that's what this is for. So here you got 3 hours of hopefully no one is breathing down your neck at work. They shouldn't be. They all agreed to this. So you should have 3 uninterrupted hours to just go back and play with Excel. And we'll reconvene Thursday morning, and I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with.
All right. Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
Bye.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, guys. We'll see you
Thank you.
Thursday morning.
Thank you.